You ever find yourself saying, I don't deserve to be treated like this? My partner is being impatient. My partner is not acting right. This is especially when your inner defense lawyer is ready to go off. It's ready to tell them what they're doing wrong, and you're probably right. But in today's episode, we're going to be unpacking the moment that can either make or break your connection. The moment that is actually going to help you shift your partner's behavior in a positive way, or it's going to shift your partner into defensiveness and shutdown. So let's check it out together.
Welcome to the Love Conscious Relationship Podcast, where our host gives her expert advice about relationships, communication, connection, and intimacy as she explores ideas about how to share, respect, and validate your partner with one loving experience at a time. Now let's welcome our host, therapist and relationship expert, Jessica Myers-Adams.
Hey there, welcome to the Love Conscious Relationship Podcast. And today I am going to be sharing with you the moment that is either going to help you resolve an issue with your partner or the moment that is going to lead you down the path of destruction. And I'm really excited to share this topic with you because just within the last week, I've had the experience where my inner defense lawyer was ready to take the mic, and I was ready to break down the connection, and I was able to stay grounded, and I was able to actually shift things around. So not that that always is the case, but I'm excited to share with you about this new experience. And I shared with you last week that I shared about mental toughness and how when you make a choice to go through with something that you're actually going to be able to succeed. And I'm happy to share with you that I was able to visit Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky and run in each of those states and complete that. The thing that happened before I was leaving is actually the motivation for the start of this podcast, and then something that happened over Easter weekend also added to my research. I like to say it's research because I'm always looking to see what happened, what went wrong, or maybe this time what went right. And so I was getting ready to leave on Tuesday morning, and I was trying to check in for my flight, and I was trying to get out the door, and I thought I checked in, and then I looked and I didn't have the thing that you can scan. I wasn't checked in. And so I was in a very reactive state. I was frazzled. I was feeling rushed. And I said to my wife in not a very nice way, I was just telling her all of my frustration. And I went back upstairs to get some more things and try to get out the door because I was starting to get anxious. And she stepped in with this calm attitude. And she said, here, I've been able to check you in for your flight, and you just didn't do this one thing. And the mini takeaway for me was it was really just a small act. And I got in my car and I left because I had to get to the airport. And once I did get through security and I was waiting to board, I sent this text message of, I really didn't deserve that kindness, but you helping me when I was in that place was really an act that I really appreciate. And so the choice that she had in that moment was to react or try to repair. She had the choice to respond to what I was going through or to just be like, you're being a jerk and just kind of ignore me. And I really thought about that while I was gone. And I think, that we don't always go into, now I wasn't directly short and frustrated with her. I was just in my own personal, having my own experience. But what usually happens when our partner is short or snippy is, my first thought is, I don't deserve this. I'm trying to be nice. And, I just start to, in my mind, start to rack up all of the things that my partner is doing wrong, right? And I think you can probably relate to that too, right? Because we don't deserve to be treated that way. We don't. But if we think about, if we can zoom out and try to figure out what's going on for our spouse, we're actually going to be able to help them repair in a different way. So it might not feel like validating because you're not getting to say what they're doing wrong. But when you do that, it doesn't fix anything and it fuels the fire. And I want to just say, when you're upset, who do you go to? You go to the people who you can vent to, and they're going to say, you don't deserve to be treated like that. And they're actually going to pour gas onto your fire, right? It doesn't fix anything. It just fuels the fire. And I think I told you a couple of weeks ago a story that was shared to me. And my mentor was talking about um, this experience where she was frazzled and she was having this, this moment where she was paralyzed and she couldn't think of what to do. And I can relate to that when I was trying to get ready to go to my trip, and I just couldn't quite figure out how to check in, and I couldn't, was this bag going to work? And do I have everything? And I think I forgot something, and all of those things. And she said that her husband came in and just said, here, let me do it for you. And he said that's exactly what she needed. And it would have been justified if he would have said, what's your problem? You're supposed to be doing your half of the thing and you're not doing it. But that compassion softened her. And the other thing, the story I related to, and I've just been thinking about these things over the last couple of weeks, is when my friend's husband was being, kind of short, and he was frustrated, and instead of her reacting, and she just said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm just feeling really insignificant. And when we're able to approach it in that way, instead of saying, what's wrong with you? You might say, what's wrong? And I'll give you my experience. Just this Easter Sunday, my spouse and I were traveling, and we went to see my mom, and it's an hour, drive each way. And we're driving back, and I thought the visit was fine. And I could, you ever perceive that your partner is just cranky, or they're just about ready to say something or do something, and you could just feel the energy. And I wanted to say, what's wrong with you? And instead I leaned in. I thought about the things that I'm telling you now. And I know that if I say, what's wrong with you? Or stop being so cranky, that's not going to help. And so it was a kind of a new experience to say and to try to find out what would happen if I asked what's wrong. Now, I want to give you the warning that if you ask what's wrong, the first couple of things you're going to receive are some bullets that are directed at you. I got some bullets, and I deserved them. I'll tell you what the bullets were. My wife said, I said, what's going on? What's wrong? And not what's wrong with you, but what's going on? And she said, well, if you're going to make me think about it, I think you were a little aggressive driving. And I was like, okay. And I can't even honestly remember, but there was at least one or two other bullets that came my way. And I said, fair enough, fair enough. And the third thing that came out, though, was the truth. And she said, I did agree to this, but we've been gone for hours, and there's still a lot to do, and I got to go back to work tomorrow. And I was able to get it, like when I'm frustrated, take me back to the airport chaos there, right? When I'm frustrated or worried or upset about something, I'm going to react in a way that is not loving or kind, right? So when our partner, or when we're in pain, there's a part of us that is going to get into this protective mode. And then there's another part that is seeking comfort. And so if we can go to the part that is seeking comfort, then we can actually help them turn their behavior around. And so this is the lesson I'm learning. And I'll give you the example today. I was doing a session with a couple, and they were talking, and one little thing that one of them said, turned into the back and forth. And I said, okay, let's pause for a moment. And, if you're by yourself and you're with your partner and that happens, I think the time out and just taking a break and stepping away is going to be really important. But I was able to, to take the pause with them. And I said, there is a part of you that is wanting wanting the appreciation, wanting the connection. And then there's another part that is frustrated and hurt. And if we can address the part that is frustrated and hurt, then we're going to be able to help them recover, and we're going to be able to move in a way that's positive. And so what I think we usually do is that we will get critical, we'll withdraw, we'll retaliate, or we'll get righteous. We'll start talking mostly to ourselves about how we don't deserve this, how we are doing the right thing, we're being a good partner, and we are ready to tell our partner how they're not doing what they should be. They're not an equal partner in this. They're messing up. But if we can flip it instead and we can say, what is going on for them? What's this like? What might they be carrying right now? And, I think the metaphor here that I give is that if your partner or someone is drowning, you don't want to just pour water on them. You want to help them and offer them a lifeline. So before you respond to your partner, before you go into telling them what they're doing, I want you to ask yourself if you're reacting to a hurt or if you're trying to heal. Like, are you responding to the thing that's gotten activated for you, or are you trying to meet them where they are and trying to help them? And so I think, being mentally tough in a relationship isn't about ignoring things. It's about trying to find out what's going on and having a little bit of toughness where you're not going to get pulled into it. So the couple that I was talking with today, what ended up happening was they were taking things personal. They were, when something was said about the wife saying to the husband, like, these are some of the things that I'm wanting. Instead of him saying, oh, that's what she wants, he took it as, I'm not doing that. And she's criticizing me. And I don't think she was criticizing him. And a lot of times we're taking what our partner says or does and making it personal. And sometimes it is personal. Sometimes they are being a jerk. Sometimes they are being short. Sometimes they are impulsive. They yell at the kid, they yell at the dog, and we don't like that behavior. And for us to try to change the behavior head on is going to mean that what they just did to the kid or to the dog, those bullets are coming at us. So if we can ask what's wrong and then duck when those bullets come, and then try to understand what's going on. So if you want to continue to work on this or think of this, one journal prompt I'll give you is, or something you can just think about it. If you want to pull out your phone or get out, your journal, think of the last time your partner was short or distant or they're irritated. What story did you tell yourself in that moment? And what else might be true for them? What are some of the ways that you could start to ask your partner what's wrong? And the question, what's wrong, might not be the right question. You might have to experiment a little bit with trying to get them to open up, and it might not feel safe for them for a while. I wasn't sure how it was going to actually go when I said, what's wrong? And it could have gone sideways in a lot of ways. So I hope this has been helpful. The takeaway, I think, is, can we meet our partner with some kindness, and can we give some grace when they are acting in a way that we don't think is correct, or when we're starting to judge their behavior? Instead of telling them about themselves, can we ask what's wrong, or can we think about what is it that they would appreciate or what would help them shift their behavior? So this is about meeting our partner with a life preserver rather than dumping water on their head. And I'm not saying that you need to take everything that your partner does. I've done lots of podcasts on that, but I think the mini takeaway is, how can you diffuse a situation that can easily turn into something else? You always have the choice of how you're going to respond. And sometimes it does need to be a timeout, just like it would have been for the couple today. So I hope this has been helpful, and try to meet your partner with some curiosity and compassion.
Thanks for joining us on the Love Conscious Relationship Podcast. If you like this podcast and heard something helpful, make sure to send it to a friend and leave a review about what you liked. For more daily doses of relationship truth, follow Jessica on our socials and TikTok at Jessica Relationship Visionary.